Assalamualaikum to Dr. Nick Muhammad Zaini. We are from Group 6, Section 4. Our group consists of 5 members, which are Cik Wafik Haikal, Wan Muhammad Hafizuddin, Muhammad Kamil Imran, Dayan Alia Farzana, and myself, Nur Hashimah. My name is Nur Hashimah binti Kemi, and my matrix number is CF210102. Our company's name is Designer Construction. That registered is on 1 June 2023. The company's primary activity is the development of civil engineering works in the contract construction of buildings and civil engineering related projects. Our services included project management, building construction, refurbishment, and the installation of built-in furniture, and in addition to interior design and consulting. This is our company organization. Ceko Afik Haikal is project manager. Nur Hashima is assistant project manager. Dayang Alia Farzana is construction manager. Wan Muhammad Hafizuddin is an architect. And Muhammad Kamil Imran is quantity surveyor.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. My name is Dayang Alia Farzana and my matric number is CF210297. And today I will be talking about excavation, which is topsoil, which is level, and also pad footing. Excavation for topsoil typically refers to the process of removing the uppermost layer of the soil, known as topsoil, from a designated area. Excavation for topsoil can serve various purposes, including landscaping, construction projects, gardening, or land restoration. And for excavation for reduced level refers to the process of digging or removing soil from a particular area to lower the elevation or level of the ground surface. This reduced level is determined based on a factor such as the desired slope, drainage requirement, or the need to reach a specific depth for the intended purpose of the excavation. And lastly, for the pad footing in excavation refers to the process of excavating a specific area to create a foundation support system called a pad footing. Pad footing, also known as isolated footings, are individual foundation elements that support the load of a single column or isolated point load and transfer into the underlying soil. This is the total of the taking off for excavation topsoil, reduced level, and also pad footing.
Excavation, trench for ground beam. All beam sizes are the same, which the width is 125 mm and the depth is 300 mm. The quantity get from the first beam with length 3.353 minus with column stump and excavation of topsoil and reduced level is 0.04. Next is 0.03. Next beam GB3 slash C to E is 0.04 and GB5 to slash A to B is 0.04. Our next beam GB5 grade 2 slash B to C with length 2.743 and minus column stump and excavation of topsoil and reduced level and blinding. Result is 0.03 and GB9 grade B slash 223 is 0.04 and the total excavation for ground beam is 0.22 meter cube.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Hafizuddin bin Muhammad Hasbullah, matric number CF200233. I will continue our presentation. I want to talk about taking off for concreting work. Okay, first thing first, we must to calculate leading and concrete. Okay, we use three different dimensions, P1, P2, and P3. Okay, for P1, the dimension is 550 multiply 550 multiplied by 200. Okay, for concrete grade bleeding, we use grade 30 And then the thickness laid of earth, we use 50 millimeters. And then the result for P1, we get 0.24. Okay, next P2. The dimension for P2 is 700 multiply 700 multiply by 200. So we use the grade for concrete bleeding and then the thickness on the earth same like P1. Okay, so the result for P2 we get 0.39, and then next is P3. P3 the dimension is 1000 multiply 1000 multiplied by 200. So we get the result for the P3 is 0.8. Okay, next we also calculate reinforcement in situ concrete grade 20 in isol.fdn.base. Okay, for P1, we get the result is 0.05, P2 is 0.09, and P3 0.16. Okay, and then we calculate reinforcement in situ concrete grade 20 in isol.column stamp. We get the result is 0.35. Okay, the next page, we also calculate bleeding to ground beam. Okay, first we choose ground beam A to B, bracket 2 to 3. Okay, for the length, this ground beam is 3.353 less 2 stem, 2 divide 0.150, we get 0.300. And then length minus less 2 stem, we get 3.053. For concrete grade 7 bleeding, 100 thickness laid of earth, we use 25 thickness LC equals 0.03 meter. And then we get the result is 0.03. Okay, we also calculate reinforcement in situ concrete grade 20 in ground beam. So we get 0.25. Okay, next we choose ground beam A to A1 bracket 1. Okay, for the length is 2.286 less 1 stamp 0.150. Length minus less 1 stamp, we get 2.136. Okay, we use 25 thickness LC 0.03, and then we get the result is 0.01. And then we calculate reinforcement in situ concrete grade 20 in ground beam A to A1 bracket 1, we get 0.08. Next, we choose ground beam B to C bracket 2 to 3. Okay, the length for this ground beam is 2.743 less 2 stamp. 2 divide 0.150, we get 0.300. And then length minus less 2 stamp, we get 2.443. And then we also use 25 millimeter thickness LC equals 0.03. And then we get the result is 0.02. Okay, next we also calculate reinforcement in situ concrete grade 20 in ground beam. We get 0.18. Okay, next we choose ground beam A1 to C bracket 1. Okay, for the length is 3.810 less 1 stump. We get length minus by 1 stump. We get length minus less 1 stump. We get 3.660. Okay, for concrete grade 7 bleeding, 100 mm thickness laid of earth, we use 25 millimeter thickness LC equals 0.03 meters. So we get the result is 0.01. Okay, we also calculate reinforcement in situ concrete grade 20 in ground beam. We get 0.14. Okay, next we choose ground beam 1, 2, 3, bracket CDE. Okay, the length for this ground beam is 3.048 less 2 stump. 2 divide 0.150, we get 0.300. And then length minus less 2 stump, we get 2.748. So we use same thickness LC equals 0.03, and then we get the result is 0.03. And then we also calculate reinforcement in situ, we get 0.31. Okay, next we choose ground beam 2 to 3, bracket A to E. Okay, the length for this ground beam is 3.353 less 2 stump 0.300. Okay, length minus less 2 stump, we get 3.053. Okay, we use thickness LC 25 mm equals 0.03 meters. We get the result is 0.05. Okay, for reinforcement in situ concrete grade 20, we get 0.46. Okay, next, we choose ground beam 1, 1 to 2, bracket A to E. Okay, the length for this ground beam is 3.353. Okay, less 2 stump. 2 divide 0.150, we get 0.300. And then length minus less 2 stump, we get 3.053. Okay, for thickness, we use 25 mm. LC equals 0.03 meter. So we get the result is 0.05. Okay, for reinforcement in situ, grade 20 in ground beam, we get 0.46. Okay, the last one, we choose ground beam 2A to 3, bracket D. Okay, the length for this ground beam is 1.524 less 1 stump, 0.150. So length minus 1 stump, we get 1.374. And then we use 25 millimeter thickness LC equals 0.03 meters. We get the result is 0.01. And then we also calculate reinforcement in situ concrete 20 in ground beam. We get 0.05. So the total for concrete grade 7 bleeding lean on earth, we get 1.28.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Cikgu Afiq Haikal bin Cikgu Junaidi and my number metric is CF210221. So, I will continue my presentation with taking off formwork. For the formwork, we have three dimension size, P1, P2, P3. So, for the first one is P1, 4 times 550 will become 2.2. So, time with zero point 0.2 get 0.44. So for P2, 4 times 700 will become 2800. 2.8 times zero point 0.2 get 0.56. As for the P3, 4 times 1000 becomes 4000. 4.0 times zero point 0.2 get 0.8. So for column, we have 12 column. So 12 times 125 get 1500. 1.5 times 0.125 get 0.19. So we go next for ground beam. After the total of ground beam is 53.55.
Okay, hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Kamil Imran bin Safari. My matrix number is CF 210305. Okay, I will continue with taking off steel reinforcement work. Okay, for first reinforcement is reinforcement in stump. For high tensile reinforcement, 12 mm diameter S bar. Okay, for P1 is we get 14.8 meter. Okay, for P4 we get also 14.8 meter, and lastly for P8 we get 22.2 meter. Okay, next for mild steel reinforcement 6 mm diameter S bar. Okay, for P1 we get 1.86 meter. For P4 also 1.86 meter, and lastly for P8 we get also same 1.86 meter. Okay, next is for reinforcement in column. Okay, for high tensile reinforcement 12 mm diameter S bar. Okay, for P1 we get 24.24. Okay, for P4 also same 24.24 meter, and lastly is P8 we get 36.36 meter. Okay, next, still with reinforcement in column. For mild steel, reinforcement 6 mm diameter S bar. Okay, for P1, we get 8.16. P4, we get also 8.16. And lastly, for P8, we get also 8.16 meter. Next is reinforcement in ground beam. For ground beam 3, A until E. For that, we get 21.06 meter. Okay, last from me for taking off steel reinforcement work. Okay, I will continue with ground beam 2, A until C. Okay, this is last. We get for ground beam 2 A until C is 14.98, and lastly for ground beam 9 2B until 3B we get 9.48 meter. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
After finish calculating the taking off, we substitute all the quantity into bill of quantities. For item A1, the total amount is 379 ringgit and 17 cent. Item A2, 102 ringgit 81 cent. Item A3, 225 ringgit 94 cent. Item A4 is 149 ringgit 74 cent. Item A5, which extra over with excavation for excavation in rock, is 35 ringgit 87 cent. For excavation trench for ground beam, item A6 is 8 ringgit 36 cents, and item A7 extra over is 40 ringgit 12 cent. For concreting work, item B8, for concreting work we choose grade 20. So for item B8, the amount is 78 ringgit 41 cent. Item B9, bed footing for B2, 127 ringgit 41 cent. Item B10, pet footing and link concrete for B3 is 261 ringgit 36 cent. Item B11, reinforced in situ concrete, grade 20 for column stump is 115 ringgit 99 cent. Item B12, reinforced in situ concrete for ground beam, grade 20 is 447 ringgit and 36 cent. For item C, formwork C11, to site of bed footing not exceeding 500 millimeter high is 628 ringgit 02 cent. Formwork to column, item C12 is 61 ringgit 16 cent, and item C13 to sides of ground beam is 147 14,753 ringgit and 03 cent. Item steel reinforcement, item D14 is 1,838 ringgit 90 cent. Item D15, 6 millimeter diameter and its reinforcement in links in isolated column stump is 171 ringgit and 31 cent. Item D16 is 4,116 ringgit 44 cent. Item D17, 751 ringgit and 54 cent. Item D18 is 1,069 ringgit and 72 cent.
Okay, next, I want to talk about build-up rate for 1 meter square soil excavation. Okay, this is table for item and price rate. Okay, in this calculation, we need to calculate cost of topsoil excavation unit for 100 depth, and then cost of reduced level, and then cost of separating up soil in making up level, and then we need to calculate cost of trench to reduce ground beam. So the total is RM 330.63. And then we have worker salary. Worker salary is RM 10 per hour. So the total excavation plus worker salary, we get RM 410.63. And then we have profit and overhead. So the profit and overhead is 50%. So the 50% multiplied by RM 410.63. So we get RM 61.59. Therefore, 1 meter square of excavation, we get the total is RM 472.22.
And I will be talking about build-up rate, which is the build-up rate is a method used in construction cost estimation to determine the cost of various components or elements that make up a particular construction activity or project. It involves breaking down the overall cost into individual items or work items and assigning costs to each component. The general process for performing a build-up rate calculation is identify work items, quantify the works, unit rates calculation, contingencies and profit, and also lastly final estimate. It is important to note that the accuracy of the build-up rate calculation depends on the availability of reliable data, the level of detail in the work breakdown structure, and the expertise of the estimator. The process may be vary depending on the complexity and nature of the construction project. And this is the total of our build-up rate.
Okay, next I will continue with amount of performance bond. Okay. Okay, for contract sum, we get 71,878 ringgit 23 cent. Okay, and 5% with times with 71,878 ringgit 23 cent, and we will get 3,593 ringgit 91 cent. Okay, for calculation of liquidate LAD per day. Okay, for contract sum we get also RM 71,000 um 71,878 ringgit 23 cent. Okay, for base lending rate of RHB Bank Berhad is 6.85%. Okay, for LAD, 6.85% will times with RM 71,878 ringgit 23 cent. We divide with 365 days, and we will get 13 ringgit 49 cent. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you, Rotan.
Lastly, we have breakdown of construction cost project. So we have each cost: excavation, concrete, formwork, reinforcement, and build-up rate calculation. So the total is 71,878 ringgit and 23 cent. So that's all from Group 6. Thank you.